Okay, in this video, we're going to be solving number 5 from Chapter 9 Hard Questions. So the scenario goes, suppose supply and demand are given by price equals 90 minus 2 times quantity, and price equal to 10 plus 3 times quantity, where price is in dollars and quantity is in thousands of units. Okay. Number 5 says, suppose the economy is open for trade and the world price is $40. What is the deadweight loss of a $10 tariff? Okay. So we're going to make use of our work in the previous problem. So we again have a world price of 40. And so again, we're going to be importing. But now we're going to add an additional wrinkle, and we're going to say that we have a tariff. And then we're going to calculate the deadweight loss with that tariff. So we're adding a tariff of $10. So as we know, a tariff is a tax on imported goods. So it increases the price of the imports, right? So in this case, anything below 58 is going to result in imports. So the $10 tariff is going to be a tax in addition to whatever the cost of the good is. In this case, it'll be the world price. So to show the tariff, draw a line here, right? And so this will equal 40, which is the world price, plus 10, which is the tariff, and this will end up equal to 50. And so what this 50 represents, really is the effective price in this market. Consumers are going to be paying $50 for these goods, and the domestic producers are going to get to charge $50 for this good, right? Because there is no tax on domestically produced goods, so the producers can just charge an additional $10, right? So that means that the quantity demanded and quantity supplied is going to change, right? If the producers can produce more, well, or if they can charge more, they're going to produce more, right? That's the law of supply, right? So instead of charging instead of charging $40, now they can charge $50. They're going to increase their production from 10 to whatever is over here, where 50 intersects the supply curve. Additionally, if the consumers can no longer pay $40 and now they have to pay $50, law of demand says that they're going to produce less. Okay. And so it goes from the blue line to the purple line here. So notice the effect of this, right? It used to be at 40, consumer surplus was this entire triangle here, above the blue line, below the demand curve. That whole thing was consumer surplus, and then the part below the blue line above the supply curve, that was producer surplus. Now, the purple line is the effective price line. And so now consumer surplus has reduced to above the purple line, below the demand curve, and producer surplus has increased from, now it's below the purple line, above the supply curve, right? So the new gains from trade is now here. This triangle here represents the new gains from trade. Now, in the previous problem, this entire triangle here, we calculated it, right? Above the blue line between the supply and demand curve, that whole triangle was the gains from trade. So we've lost this portion down here. Well, we can go ahead and fill this part here. We know that this part here, this rectangle, this is what we call government revenue, right? Because this is the new imports, right? This is still, even though quantity demanded has decreased, quantity demanded is still higher than quantity supplied. So there's still going to be imports in this market. It's just that they're smaller, but there's still a tariff on those imports, right? And so you have whatever the size of the tariff is, in this case it's $10 times the imports, that gives you the government revenue. In this question, we're looking for deadweight loss, and the deadweight loss is here. This is the deadweight loss. This triangle plus this triangle. This is the deadweight loss. And so how do we calculate that? Well, we see that the height of these both triangles is the size of the tariff. The base of both triangles is a difference between the quantity supplied or quantity demanded before the tariff and then after the tariff. So that means that we're going to need the quantity supplied and quantity demanded before or after the tariff was issued. So notice here, we did this calculation for the supply curve with the price of 40. Well, now we need to do it with the price of 50. Okay. And so this is going to be equal to 40. And so we end up with an after tariff quantity supplied of 13.3, roughly 13.3. All right. So we can put that. No, this is quantity supplied, so we want to go over here. Okay, and then what about quantity demanded? Instead of 40, we're going to put 50. So 50 equals 90 minus 2 QD. Right? 40. All right. So now we have all our pieces. Okay. So with this question, you need to be a little careful with the decimals. So if you want to get the exact answer, you're going to want to use this 40 over 3 in your calculation. But certainly an approximation is enough. Okay. So now all we're left to do is calculate the deadweight loss. So as we said, deadweight loss here is going to be equal to, we have two triangles that we're calculating here. So for the first triangle, it's tariff times quantity supplied after the tariff minus quantity supplied for the tariff times 1/2. And then we have the second part of the triangle. Apologize, this is moving a bit slow. So the second part of the triangle, for the second triangle on the right side, it's going to be tariff times quantity demanded for the tariff minus quantity demanded after the tariff times 1/2. And so let's plug these numbers in. For the first part, we have 10 times 13.33 minus 10 times 1/2 plus 10 times 25 minus 20 times 1/2. And if we carry out these calculations, so for the first side, 16.665, and on the other side, 25. And so if you sum these up, and it's in thousands, so you should get about 41,665. And so the answer should be D. So in this case, the answer is 41.667. So the reason for that is the answer uses 40 over 3, so that it carries more decimal points. Obviously, this is close enough. Clearly, it's close to D rather than all the other answers, $2 off. So for rounding errors. But in other words, in any case, this is how you calculate deadweight loss for a tariff. And so the answer to number 5 is D.